kind of screwed up there. Wasn't paying attention. Oh. Matter of fact, I don't even have the music up right. There we go. Okay. We're ready as soon as somebody shows up. It will be showtime. Don't give me that dumb look. How many times do I have to tell you? We don't start the show until we have a guest. Jeez. How many times do I have to tell you? We don't start until we have the audience here, the live audience. I know we have viewing audience. Soon as the live audience shows up, we start. I gotta tell you this every goddamn day. Is your brain that tiny? Or you only have like 2 brain cells and they're fighting one another? Is that what it is? You have 2 brain cells, they fight one another? Now see? Now, as I keep telling you every goddamn night, once we have a live audience, we start the show. Idiot. From WDWL TV, live from the Red Studio, we're going to call number 1, with great anticipation, we bring you the pride of this station, the grumpy old man, and, the 2 brain-celled grumpy vulture. Take your bow, idiot. Get the banner up. God, every night I gotta tell you the same shit. Look at the camera, take your bow. Okay, there you go. No, don't. No, you're not gonna stand there. Go back in your spotlight, idiot. Look towards the camera. Let me move this out of the way. How you doing tonight, Kathy? I had kind of a... Actually, my day was kind of boring until I went for smokes. And as I always wander around the store, look and see what new merchandise they got. And along with the comforters and quilts, now they have blankets. Hey, Jenny's here. So I was looking at the blankets, and as I walked up to the register or the front of the store, I actually saw kids with musical instruments. I was shocked. I was like, really? You have a musical instrument? And the one girl was like, well, yes, I have a clarinet. And the other one said, I've got a trumpet. And the third girl says, believe it or not, I play oboe. I was like, holy shit, really? Which is an extremely difficult instrument to play. I didn't think my old mama alma mater actually had an orchestra, because they have a school of music downtown. Evidently, I was wrong. It was too bad that they left, because I really wanted to talk to them a little more. But it shocked the hell out of me. Hey, 4207, how you doing? Drive safe. Eyes on the road. Obey all traffic laws. Make sure your seatbelt's on. If you're driving a manual, do a burnout for me at the next traffic light. Yeah, really, because I'll tell you what, I drive past my old alma mater quite a bit because it's just up the street. And I've never seen kids with musical instruments. And then here's three of them come in the store, all girls. I was shocked. I was glad, because, well, back when I was going to school, holy shit, we had a big orchestra, we had a huge marching band, we had subgroups, there was a little jazz group, and there was a rock and roll group, and I basically was under the impression that anyone that wanted to play music went downtown to the School of Music Arts. I'm glad to see my alma mater actually has an orchestra. Unbelievable. Made me happy. And it really surprised the shit out of me. I don't know too many students that would say, I want to play the oboe, sir, because that's a dual reed instrument. Now, when I played saxophone and clarinet, that's a single reed. A dual reed is, I'll tell you what, you got to have very delicate lips and a delicate tongue when you play an oboe. And those reeds back in the day were expensive. I can imagine what they are now. Unbelievable. Made me happy. Until the asshole in front of me got to the register. Oh, these people that play lottery just literally drive me insane. First of all, the amount of money that they fucking waste. And then, this woman decided she wanted some scratch-offs. Now, there's probably 50 different goddamn scratch-off tickets, and they're all, $5, $10, $20, whatever. And, well, give me a number 7. And, okay, an 18. And, a 23. And then she's looking. Oh, it doesn't look like anybody played 42. Let me see. Let me look at the tickets. Give me a 53. No. Make it a 51. I wanted to grab her by the throat and strangle her. So, I was happy to see high school students playing musical instruments, and then I wanted to kill the lottery player. She dropped, I think it came to $53. don't these people realize it's like Vegas? The lottery is not aimed for you to win. It's aimed for the state to make money. And I would just like to be around when these people are like broke and they have no money and they're scratching their ass trying to figure out how they're going to pay their utilities and their rent. Because then Grumpy would walk in and say, well, assholes, if you didn't blow it all on lottery, you'd have money today. But you decided to take your savings and whoop, give it to the state of Ohio so that they can drive their big fancy new cars every year, have their nice big offices, mahogany desks. Oh, I know everybody has that dream. Oh, one day I'm going to hit for 10 or 20 million. Oh, that happens so rarely. And then, well, now, Kathy, you got to remember, and you were here when the lottery issue went on the ballot statewide. And that was the lie. This is going to be for education. This is going to fund our schools. Out of all the lottery money, about 18% goes to the schools. The rest goes for wages and printing and bullshit. Very little goes to the schools. But that was the lie to get it passed. Everybody was like, oh, yes, we'll have new schools built. Well, we won't have any problem with education. Teachers will have good wages. Bullshit! I didn't vote for it. I voted no. Because I knew it was a big lie. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. How did you do that? Did you hit it big once or what? How did you use lottery money for education? For college? Does the lottery give you a 1 or 2% loan? Or did you happen to hit it big for a couple $100,000? Or did you do like everybody should do? The money that you would have spent on lottery, you put in a special savings account for education. Down there, I don't know if they do that up here. I guess I'm going to have to gargle some things. Now, see, I've never heard about that in Ohio. So, I mean, okay, I'm glad to see lottery money working for the people, but I've never heard of that in Ohio. I guess I'll be gargling a few things tomorrow. It's good in Tennessee. Okay, wonderful. I would encourage people to play lottery. But if we don't have that here in Ohio, I wouldn't encourage people to play lottery. And the last people, seniors, none of these people that are playing lottery have kids in school. Now, maybe grandkids, but I just, as little as we get on Social Security, I just can't see wasting my money on a dream that's never going to come true. All right, maybe Ohio works the same way. I've never heard it. I've never heard about it. I mean, it's wonderful that you can do that. I've never heard of it in Ohio. I guess I have to look into it. Oh, I I've never bought one in my life. I have no no inkling to buy a lottery ticket. None whatsoever. I just feel sorry for seniors wasting their money. I really do. Every month it's getting harder and harder for me to stretch my goddamn Social Security check. Jesus Christ, I have to do without so much. I hate going into a store going, oh my God, I would love to buy that, but I can't afford it. And then I have people telling me, well, get rid of your fucking cat. Look at the money you'll save on cat food. And hey, that's my buddy. Turned out to be one of the best cats I've ever had. After I broke him emptying the fucking toilet. Goddamn bastard. Boy, you're spreading the wealth around, huh, Jenny? Jesus. Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, Tennessee, Georgia, and a few other states. Do you have them in a scrapbook? I have a friend. They travel all over. They got a frickin' motorhome. Not a big one. Nice, though. And every state that they go to, they buy a lottery ticket. And his wife puts it in a scrapbook. And that's their travels. They open the scrapbook and say, we've been to all these states. And every one is a lottery ticket. None of them have ever won, but that's what they do. They buy one lottery ticket every state they go to. I told her I want to see the one from Alaska. They haven't gone there yet. I think they've been to like 38 states since they retired. I'd like to have their motorhome. It's a nice Ford what the hell is it? F450. I can't remember how big. 28, 30 foot. It's big enough for the two of them. It's a nice one. They got a deal on it. Matter of fact, they weren't even really going down to the motorhome place to buy one. His wife said, "Oh, look at this one over here." And the salesman come out and went, "If you take it as is," because they hadn't done a cleanup and a spritz and a wash and wax and all the bullshit, "we'll sell it to you for X versus X." And they said, "We'll take it." And the riot of the thing was, they took their car down the road to some trailer hitch place, and they bought some mounts so that they could tow their car home. It was amazing. They drive down to look at one. Next thing you know, they buy it, and they're towing their car home behind it. I'd like to have it. Although I think I think he says it holds like 75 gallons, the two tanks. I wouldn't be going too far. I'd be lucky to get to like maybe Finley State Park. I don't know what the mileage is on it, but I don't think you're getting no 40 miles to a gallon. You know, Jenny, which one I would love to have, and they're extremely hard to find now. The ones that U-Haul used to rent with the Toyota chassis, they were like mini motorhomes. It was a Toyota Tacoma front end, a little mini motorhome. I would love to have one of them. I saw one for sale recently, but it was down in Florida. And the guy had, you could see where they literally steamed the U-Haul emblems off. Because, plus it was that ugly orange and tan U-Haul color. But that's the one I would love to have. One of those. And I don't understand why they don't make them anymore. I guarantee they would sell. Not everybody wants a big gargantuan motorhome. That one with the Toyota front end, cab and chassis, perfect. Me and my cat would just love to tour the country in one of them. Okay, I got an email today regarding yesterday and bottled water. The person literally told me I was talking out of my ass. So, I come with receipts. The actual bottled water article. Now, if you are listening, Mr. Email, Dasani, Aquafina, and Pure Life. And I know because you said you drink Dasani. Water that comes from municipal supply, aka tap water. It is extra filtered by reverse osmosis to take out any odor. Also, it removes the fluoride, which is added to water to prevent this, tooth decay. Well, my teeth fell out for a reason, not tooth decay. Right here. And if you don't believe me, here, it's in this month's issue of the AARP magazine. You're drinking filtered tap water, which you can get out of your tap. But no, you're going and buying cases of water at the store. Not to mention, after a while, microorganisms leach out of the plastic bottles. Little itty bitty micro pieces of plastic. Because the bottles do degrade a little bit. And them itty bitty that you can't see with the eye, pieces of plastic, you drink. So when you're done drinking your bottle of Dasani, eat the fucking bottle too. Right here. The first one. Get yourself an AARP, and it says right here, municipal water, tap water. That's what your Dasani is, right there. Tell me I'm talking out of my ass. Spring water's a little bit different. And it's amazing. They have mineral water, alkaline water, enhanced water, electrolyte water, hydrogen water, and purified water. All these waters, 90% of them tap water. There's the article. So, Mr. Dasani drinker, I'll expect your email apology in the morning, which I know I won't get. But I'm not talking out of my ass. Just go to any drugstore and pick up the AARP with Drew Barrymore on it. And the article for the water is almost dead center in the middle. Right there. I come with receipts, Mr. Dasani drinker. Right there. Right there. And it's a pretty cute article about Drew Barrymore, too. But quite interesting. I get this free every month. When you do business with Consumer Cellular, you get an extra discount if you're an AARP member. I get a free paid membership through AOL. One of the benefits of being an AOL member, you get a free paid membership to AARP. Then, if you decide to switch to Consumer Cellular, if you tell them you are an AARP member, you get $5 off your bill every month. So my free membership actually got me some deals. Yeah, it comes free with AOL. If you're an AOL member like I've been since the inception of AOL, they've got some other benefits. I mean, they got a whole list of benefits that you get for free. I don't, discounts on travel and hotels, and I don't travel. I don't need hotels, but it's nice, and I get the free AARP membership. And I'll tell you what, it's a pretty decent magazine. Quite interesting. I wish they had like a cartoon section, like Reader's Digest, Yeah, good old Reader's Digest. Used to be over 300 pages. Now you're lucky to get 110. All right, go to membership benefits and your AOL. It's up in the top whatever search bar or whatever. It'll say My Benefits or something, and click on it, and it'll give you a whole bunch of shit you can get for free. And you could get this for free. This subscription. A lot of people don't know. Kind of AOL secret. But if you go up right at the top, when you bring your AOL up, it'll say My Benefits, and just click on it. And if you can't find it all, call AOL. And if you can't find AOL's phone number, I'll gladly give it to you. They recognize my voice. They're like, oh, that old bastard's calling us again. So, enjoy your Dasani water, Mr. Dasani water drinker, and telling me I'm blowing smoke out my ass. And if you don't believe me, like I said, just go to the drugstore, go to the magazine rack. You'll see AARP, Drew Barrymore on the front. Buy a copy. Or stand there and read the article in the store, put the magazine back in the rack. I know you used to be able to do that. That's when the magazine rack was like 40 foot long. God, I remember back in the day. You go in a drugstore and the magazine section was fucking huge. There must have been at least 25 different auto magazines alone. Now, hardly. As a matter of fact, it surprises the shit out of me if I see somebody buying a magazine today. At the price of magazines. Holy fuck. I remember when I could get like Car and Driver or Motor Trend 20 cents. Now it's like $4.95. There were magazines on everything back in the day. It was amazing, sewing, cooking, gardening, women's magazines, men's magazines, auto magazines, boat magazines, camping magazines, miscellaneous magazines. Like I say, at least 30-foot section of magazines. And there had to be at least 40 different crossword puzzle books. Who the hell does a crossword puzzle today? Nobody I know. Even my senior friends. Although we all admit, my grandmother, she was a whiz at crossword puzzles. My grandfather would come home with the plain dealer. She'd snatch the crossword puzzle out and probably have the damn thing done in less than an hour. Oh, well. Yeah. Although, like I told you, for years, I thought the National Enquirer was the biggest rag on earth until I was in it. And then I was like, whoa, all this shit is true. Even if they said, a guy got killed 4 times and came back, But there I was, wedding picture, cutting my meatloaf cake, full page in the Enquirer. Inquiring minds want to know. You do crosswords? Ah, damn. I was never any good at them. Never. The brain even didn't function back when I was young. Oh, my grandfather used to get those police detective magazines and talk about a bunch of crap. Today's Detective, the Police Blotter, all those rag police magazines. And on the cover every month was some voluptuous blonde getting strangled or stabbed, I think that was the only reason everybody bought that magazine. But yeah, all the rags back then. And most of the time, all the rags, like Enquirer and that, were up by the cash registers. They weren't really back in the magazine rack. Well, you're doing better than me. At least you do them. Another thing my grandmother was great at was word find. Oh my God. My grandfather would buy her the book. In about a week, she'd be telling him, can you find me another one? He'd be like, why? She goes, well, I'm all done. She was a whiz at that stuff. I used to watch her, and it amazed me. She'd open it up to a page. Okay, here's one. Okay, this one goes straight up and down. This one over here. This one at an angle. Crossword puzzles and this fucking microphone. Thanks for the echo. We're not even an hour into the fucking show, and the mic decides to echo. I don't know why it's doing this. I don't. It's either in YouTube software or in Prism software. Now, usually I get at least an hour before I get the echo. 41 minutes into the show, and it's echoing. Yeah, Kathy, that's the way my grandmother was. I never saw somebody find words as fast as she could. It was amazing. And my grandmother only had like a ninth or 10th grade education. She was a whiz at crossword puzzles, word find, and math. Oh my God, that woman could do problems in her head. It was unbelievable. Like I say, she was one of the accountants for First Catholic Ladies Slovak Union or whatever that insurance company was. And they didn't have computers back, 60s, 70s, 50s. God, she was a whiz at we used to throw problems at her. I'd be like, what's 376 times 27? And she'd be like, 6,462. What? And then I'd do it with a calculator, and she'd nail it. I wish I had the mind like she had for, like you say, word find. And those books were probably 50 pages. And Joe, when you go to get the newspaper tomorrow, can you get me another word find book? I just bought that one. Yeah, it's all done. Okay, Mary, I'll get it. No problem. He'd go get the newspaper. Here you go. Here's your word find book. Slow down a little bit. And she'd go to open it, and my grandfather would say, I told you, slow down a little bit, Mary. Mary. Then he'd go out of the house, and she'd be like, those two were a riot. Oh, my God. The best was when they'd buy a new car. Oh, my God. Had I not witnessed it, I would have never believed it. My grandfather would be like, Mary, I think it's time for us to get a new car. This one's 4 years old, it might start costing us money. Okay, Joe, when you want to go? Well, how about tomorrow morning? Okay, Joe, what time? We'll leave about 9 o'clock. Okay. 9 o'clock roll around, she'd be ready to go. They drive up to the Ford dealer, walk in the showroom, and sit down. She'd have her purse. She'd look around. I don't see anything, Joe. Okay, Mary, let's go. All right. A week later, he'd walk in the showroom. Salesman would come over. Can I help you? No, not yet. Just looking. Okay, I'll be at the desk over there. Let's go, Joe. I don't see nothing. Okay. Another week or so go by. They'd go up to the Ford dealer. She'd be sitting there holding her purse. Joe, that green one, over in the corner. That one. Are you sure, Mary? Yeah, that green one. Now, they wouldn't get up. She'd just look around. A green one. The green one could have been a fucking dump truck. The salesman would come over. He'd say, that green one over in the corner. We'll take that one. Well, you want to see it? My grandmother would be like, I can see it from here. Give me the price. I'm going to write a check. Well, you want to come over to my desk? No. Just bring me the price. I'm going to write a check. Yeah, but I told you. I'm going to write a check. How much? The salesman had come back. That'll be $37.85 and 20 cents. Here you go. Can we take it home today? Well, yes. Okay, here's your check. Three, 4 years would go by. Back to the Ford dealer. I don't see nothing, Joe. Okay, Mary. Come back 2 weeks later. She's clutching that purse. Oh, I still don't see anything, Joe. Okay, Mary. 2 weeks to go by. He'd sit down in the showroom. Joe, that gold one. Over there, the gold one. Are you sure, Mary? Yeah, Joe, gold one. He'd wait for the salesman. We'll take that gold one. Well, you want to take it for a test drive? We're going to drive it home, right? Well, yes. That's all the test drive we're going to need. I'm going to write a check. Give me the figure. Well, you want to come over to my... No! I don't want to come over to your desk. Tell me how much. I'm going to write a check. The salesman would come back and she'd write the check. Is it going to be ready? Today? We take it home? Well, yes. Okay, here's your check. And that's the way they bought cars. Didn't know what it was. It was a Ford. The best one, they bought the 64 Mustang first. That was metallic gold. Then they bought the 68 Mustang GT. Oh, was that car laid out. But salesman, that metallic green one. Oh, you mean the GT? Is it a Mustang or is it a GT? What is it? What's a Mustang GT? Don't play with me. Well, it's a Mustang. Okay. Don't give me the GT stuff. Then, when she liked the GT, she's at her church meeting. And one of the women, Mary, I hear you guys bought a new car. Yes, it's a GT. Really? What's a GT, Mary? It's the green one out in the parking lot. You can't miss it. It says GT. Well, then they go out and look and see it was a Mustang GT. And come back in. Well, why didn't you tell me it was a Mustang, Mary? It's a GT. Did you see on the hubcaps, the little GT? It's a GT. Okay, Mary. Nice car, though. Yeah, it's a GT. That's the way they bought a car. Oh, my God. But when that salesman said, oh, it's a Mustang GT. Oh, she got... What is it? Is it a Mustang or is it a GT? It's a Mustang. Okay. But then, when she really, something finally told her that GT was a special car. Tell her church women, it's in the parking lot. It's a GT. It's metallic green. And then when they come in, they go, that's a Mustang. It's a GT. Did you see on the hubcaps? Got that little fancy GT? Regular Mustang don't have that GT on the hubcaps. And back on the gas tank filler. Did you see that? GT? It's a GT. Okay, Mary. My grandfather was so fucking patient with her. If the car didn't, she had a color in mind when she'd go in that showroom. And if there was no car that color, like I say, there could have been a goddamn metallic green dump truck in the corner. They'd have bought it because that was the color she wanted. And my grandfather said that's the only way they ever bought a car from the first time they bought a car. But just sit there. And she'd clutch that purse like there was $1 million in there. Then tell a salesman, I'm going to write a check. Give me how much? Of course, the salesman never bitched because they sold it at full hit. No discount, full hit. Of course, they get their money for their trade-in, but it wasn't like, oh, come on, can't you knock a couple $100 off? No, a salesman would walk over, take the sticker, figure it out, deduct for the trade, come back and say, okay, Mary, it's, $4,200. Okay. Then she'd play with that check. Can we take home today? Oh, yes, Mary, yes. Here's your check. And go back and clutch that purse. Oh my God. Just, it's stories like that really bring back the memories of how the two of them were, because they were like totally opposite. But go in, I could see the poor salesman, okay, they leave the first time. They come back the second time, she looks around. Come on, let's go, Joe. And the salesman like, really? We'll be back. Okay. And they come in the third time. She looks around. Poor salesman's like, oh my God, am I ever going to sell them a car? And then that one, over there, the green one, that one. Never walk around the showroom. Never. Come in and just sit down and look. I could see the poor salesman going, oh my God. And then the sales manager, you let them walk? Well, they said they'll be back. Hey, don't you want to sell a car? And then they come back the second time. And the salesman's like, see, I told you they're coming back. I don't see nothing, Joe. Come on. We'll be back. Poor salesman like, oh, no. But then when he finally sold the car, it was full sticker. I could see him marching into the sales manager going, look, I sold it, full sticker. They bought one. Really? Full sticker? Yeah, she just told me to give her the price. No argument? Nope. I walked over, I wrote sticker price. Full hit. Okay. Although he earned that commission. Oh, God. And when they bought furniture, it was almost as crazy. They'd walk into the furniture store, and she'd sit on every couch. No, not this one. Go to the next one. Nah. Oh. Okay. We'll take this one, Joe. It could have been blue and red tiger stripe. If she went, we'll take this one, Joe. He'd be, okay, Mary. I'll tell you, after the first car, if that salesman stuck with that dealership for ages, he knew when they walked in, don't say a word, because eventually he was going to sell a car, just not that day. I'll tell you what, I felt sorry for them fucking salesmen, because I could see, like, after the third time, them walking out, he's like, oh, fuck, I ain't never going to sell a car. But they'd come back, like, every 2 weeks. And thank God they changed the cars in the showroom. But she just sit there and look. That one, Joe. And my grandfather, he'd just be sitting there. with his pipe, puffing away. That one? You sure, Mary? Yeah, Joe. Yeah. That one. Okay, I'll get the salesman. And that salesman probably ran over there like a track star. Yes? She wants that green one in the corner over there. Although, after selling the first car, he learned. What, you want to come to my desk? No. You come to me. I got a checkbook here. I'm going to write a check. You figure it out and come over. They do all the paperwork on our lap. Sign the paperwork. They wouldn't survive in a dealership today. No, God, no. I'll never forget. It was a couple years ago. Over on Brook Park Road, close to the airport. Remember where all the seedy motels were? Over by the airport, where all the hookers hung out. Well, they tore all that shit down. And they built, there's several dealerships over there. I stopped at an Acura dealer. Just to look. Now, I ain't buying no brand new car. But I stopped to look. And a salesman come out. And he says, are you interested in an Acura, sir? And I said, well, possibly. I kind of like that one over there. Can we take it out for a test drive? Oh, sir, you have to make an appointment, sir. I said, excuse me? Well, yes, you have to make an appointment with a sales, it wasn't a sales agent. I can't remember what the hell. It sounded real important. A demonstration agent or something. This is how these goddamn dealerships work. You've got someone that shows you the car. But that's all their job is. When you decide on a vehicle, then they hand you off to a salesman. But you can't just go into a dealership today and take one for a ride. You have to make an appointment. At least at the Acura dealer. Now, maybe Ford, Chevy. But this Acura dealer, no. Would you like to come back tomorrow around 3:30? No. Oh, that time doesn't work for you? How about 5? No. Well, what time would you like to come back? I told the salesman, if I got to make a fucking appointment to take her for a test drive, I ain't buying one. See ya. Although I wasn't going to buy one anyway. Yeah, you have to make an appointment. Talk about, they think their car's shit don't stink, you know. Yeah, there's an Acura dealer up on Brook Park Road. Well, there's a couple of, they tore all them seedy motels down and they ran the hookers off and they built car dealerships. Now you have automotive hookers selling you cars. Yeah, make an appointment to see a vehicle. They wouldn't even bring the fucking key out, so I'm looking through the window. Well, The demonstrator will show you the whole vehicle when you come back. I've seen enough, thank you. Wouldn't even bring a fucking key out and open the door. Oh no, you have to wait for the demonstrator to show you the vehicle. Jesus Christ. I guess that's the way you buy cars today. I know Lexus is like that. And Land Rover down by on Brook Park Road, down by Walmart or Sam's Club. There's a Land Rover dealer down there. Yeah. Cars only by appointment. And like I say, that goddamn salesman for Acura wouldn't even open the door. Can I see inside the car? Well, when the demonstrator, they will show you the complete vehicle, sir. Oh, okay. I'll buy a Ford. Thank you. Can you, I could guarantee, if they did that shit back in the day, my father would have punched somebody. Although, you probably didn't get over on the west side too much. But remember DeLorean Cadillac on 117th in Lakewood? My father, I don't know how the friendship developed. He was friends with Chuck DeLorean, the owner. And my father, every 3 years, bought a new Cadillac. Matter of fact, he owned Cadillacs from when I was born. Now, my father would look like a homeless bum that slept in a fucking dumpster when he would get the urge to go buy another car. He'd be working around the yard, torn sweatshirt, dirty pants, He'd be like, I think I'll go up to DeLorean, look at the new Cadillacs. I can remember. He shows up. Now, when he pulled in, evidently they didn't see him pull in. He walks in the dealership, and of course, there's a salesman there, Can I help you? Yeah, I'm going to buy me a new Cadillac. And the salesman looked him up and down and was like, right. And then he had the nerve to say, I don't think you can afford these. These are pretty high-end cars. And why my father didn't punch him, I'll never know. He says to the salesman, is Chuck around? Do you have an appointment with Chuck? No. Well, I think Chuck is busy. Matter of fact, he didn't say Chuck. He was like, I think Mr. DeLorean is busy. Well, tell Mr. DeLorean Wally's here. And the salesman just kind of looked at him. You're like, right. Like, Chuck's going to come out and talk to you. What are you standing there for? Go tell Chuck Wally's here. So the salesman finally walked back, and I can imagine the conversation. Mr. DeLorean, there's a homeless bum in the showroom that wants to see you. A homeless bum? Oh, yeah, you ought to see the way he's dressed. At least he doesn't stink. Okay. Chuck walks around the corner and spots my father. Wally! How you doing, buddy? And I think that salesman wants to shit himself. Come on in my office, Wally. You ready for a new car? I wonder if the salesman got fired, because I'm sure my father gave Chuck DeLorean a mouthful. Oh, my father told that story to everybody. Soon as Chuck rounded the corner. Wally, how you doing, buddy? Come on in my office. He would not dress up to buy a car. If he got done doing an oil change, that's the way he went to the dealership. Cadillac dealership. And I never got the story how him and Chuck DeLorean were buddies. What? But every 3 years, he'd buy himself a new Cadillac. And only dealt with Chuck. But I can see that salesman when my father walked in, like, oh my God, a goddamn homeless guy here thinks he can buy a Cadillac. Why my father didn't punch him, I'll never know, because my father had a short fuse. Oh God! If you pitched him off, the next thing coming was a fist. And salesman, these are pretty expensive cars, sir. I don't think you can afford one of these. Just tell Chuck that Wally's here. And he didn't say that. Because Chuck told my father, he come back and he said, there's some homeless bum in the showroom that wants to see you. And then Chuck rounds the corner. Wally, come on back, buddy. You ready to buy another car? I can imagine that salesman had to go home and change his underwear. Oh, God. But that's the way he would. And most of the time, he had this, it was his favorite sweatshirt. And it had a big fucking hole in it. And slacks that even a homeless guy wouldn't pick out of a dumpster. Beat up golf shoes, deck shoes. He loved deck shoes. Never owned a boat, but he loved deck shoes. And most of the time he would, weekend he wouldn't shave, walk in the showroom. Chuck around. I think you got the wrong place, sir. Tell my father, these are pretty expensive cars. Why my father didn't punch him? Because, he had a short fuse. I never asked him, like, Dad, why didn't you punch that fucking salesman, giving you a rash of crap? I could guarantee his hand was probably at his side, forming a fist. He was getting ready. There's some homeless guy out here wants to talk to you. Because him and Chuck went across the street. There was a bar across the street. They went across the street, and Chuck told him. And then when he comes in my office, tells me there's a poor homeless guy out here. Never said Wally's out there because salesman, he told that salesman, show him in, you know. There's a homeless guy in the showroom. That's one of the few good stories I have to tell about my father. The rest of the time, he was a fucking ogre kicking the shit out of me. That and those are the two good stories. The way my grandparents bought cars and the homeless guy that was here to buy a Cadillac. Oh my God. When he said, I don't think you can afford one of these, sir, I'm surprised that my father just didn't lay him out on the floor. Oh my God. Insult the shit out of me, you know. I don't think you can afford one of these. These are pretty pricey automobiles. And then my father's driving out in a Fleetwood Brougham, you know. Had an interior that looked like it came out of a hooker's living room. Oh, some of them Cadillac interiors were the gaudiest fucking things on earth. Yeah, that Fleetwood Brougham, it had a dark, kind of a medium brown interior and plush, you know, looked like a big giant pillow. Oh my God. He come home with that car, you know. Every 3 years, like clockwork, he'd buy a brand new Cadillac. Yeah, but you remember the gaudy ass interiors those cars had? Big overstuffed pillows, you know, with diamond plate pattern, you know. And that's all my father ever bought was Fleetwoods. That's all he ever bought. Big Fleetwood four-door, looked like a limousine. But back in the 70s, they had the gaudiest fucking interiors. I always used to tell my father, it looks like a hooker's living room in there. Insult my car. Yeah, Fleetwoods. That's all he ever bought, Fleetwoods. Now, he started at White Motors in the factory. And when he worked his way up to management, that's when he was buying the Fleetwoods. Now, he would buy a Cadillac every 3 years, but it was always the cheapie, like the strip out, if you ever, a strip out Cadillac. But once he made it to management, he basically made it known. I've made it to management. Now I get the Fleetwood. Matter of fact, they didn't fit in our garage. They were too long. He couldn't close the garage door. That pissed him off. Yeah, my new car. Back end of the car stuck out like a foot. But every 3 years, Fleetwood. And then when they downsized them, that really pissed them off because they didn't, even though it was a Fleetwood, it didn't look impressive anymore. Because, the 60s and the 70s, God, I remember we had a 59 Fleetwood. Had tail fins on it like a rocket ship. That was a land yacht, that car. Holy shit. I'll never forget when he came home with it. My mother says to him, is it ever going to end? I see it pulling in the driveway, but I see the front end, but I haven't seen the back end yet. That 59, it was huge. I remember me and my two sisters sitting in the back seat. Well, no. It was me and my just one sister at that time. We were in the back seat, and it seemed like my father was like 8 feet away from us. That's how big the back seat was. But like I say, tail fins, 6 foot high, and 2 bullets for taillights. What the hell color was that goddamn thing? It was a powder blue with a 2-tone blue interior. Brocade. Had a brocade interior. I remember that. But the car was powder blue. I remember that. And then the cars got bigger and interiors got uglier. Oh, that goddamn giant, they look like giant pillows sewed onto the seats. Talk about it. Hideous. I don't know what the designers were thinking when they designed them interiors. Oh, we could have been 12 feet away. He'd have figured a way to reach back and slap me, believe me. If he had to crawl over the seat. If I got out of line, whack! Oh! Ow! That didn't stop him, Kathy. No. I don't care how big the interior was. He could land a slap. And never take his eyes off the road. Of course, he was probably looking in the rearview mirror. I'll get him. And I'll tell you what, God forbid if we spilled something on those seats. Oh, my God. That car, those Cadillacs, those were his pride. Like, he made a statement, I'm in management. I worked my way up. He started at White Motors like as a floor sweeper. Right after the war, when he come home. Because my grandfather was supervisor of the bus division when White Motors made buses. And my father started in the truck plant, sweeping the fucking floor. And when he finally made it to management, that's when the Fleetwoods came. Made a statement. I finally made it to management. Look at me. And then he finally got a parking space inside the gate in front of the building. That's when you really made it to management. When he had a garage door opener they gave him, opened the gate, drive into his parking space in the front of the building, not in the employee lot over there. The gate closed. And then, the last year, just before they forced him to retire, he got a parking space inside the garage because they had a garage and they had a porter that washed the cars every day for the people that inside the garage. Oh, White Motors was voila at times. I think he had that garage space for about 8 months, and then they forced him to retire. And that really broke him. Because White Motors was more important than family. Like when he was general supervisor of the assembly line, if something went down or there was some problem, I don't care what time of night it was, they'd call him. Wally, we got a problem. He'd jump in the car, drive right down to 79th. And we lived at 130th and I-71. And that was before the freeway, you know. Right down to the plant. He gave his life for that fucking company, and then they pushed him out the door. And he got so goddamn bitter. If you even said White Motors, you got smacked. I don't want to hear about that fucking company. Because they did. They did him dirty. They really did. In the middle of a week, they came in on Wednesday, said, no, sorry, Wally, you're retired now. Oh, by the way, here's your watch for dedicated service. Here's your watch. I think my sister has his, because that was basically the pinnacle when they gave you your gold watch. And they walked in his office and they said, here's your watch, Wally. Now, they usually made a big thing about it. You would go to dinner and they'd have all the management there and they'd present you. No. They walked into his fucking office, said, here's your watch, Wally. Oh, by the way, you're retired as of right now. You think you can have your desk cleaned out by 5 o'clock? Oh. That's what really turned him into an alcoholic. He never saw 65. He had just turned 64. They forced him out the door, and he drank himself to death. And he was, everything he had from White Motors, he threw out. Except the watch. And my sister's got it. My little sister, she's got his watch. I wanted it, but she was closer to him than I ever was. But to boot him out like that, bitter. I never saw someone so bitter in my life. And, you know, I'll tell you, he was an SOB to live with. He was worse. I don't know how my mother put up with him. And then the woman, that was the bartender at the VFW, lived right across the street. And she started like at I think they opened at 7. He would take her to work and drink all day. And then when she got off her shift, he'd bring her home. How the hell he ever drove as drunk as he was, although it wasn't that far. Thank God. And then 7 o'clock the next morning, and he drank Boilermakers, Kathy. You know what a Boilermaker is? Not too many people know the term Boilermaker. Because he didn't have no shot glass. He'd have a juice glass. A juice glass of Kessler whiskey, rot gut, and a beer. Yeah. Take a good healthy drink of the Kesslers and wash it down with a big healthy drink of beer. And that's what he drank all day long. Wally, the two-fisted drinker. And God forbid somebody would take his bar stool. His bar stool was at the end of the bar. He'd have his back against the wall, and he could see everybody come in the door. Because he said, in a bar, you never have your back to anybody. And he'd sit there and that was Wally's seat. And drink all day long. As a matter of fact, the day he died, the neighbor told me they think 2 days before he was starting to have a heart attack. And he refused to go to the hospital. But not the bar. And he came home from that bar and he went to bed like around 9 o'clock. And at about 2:30 in the morning, he got up. Now, this wasn't unusual. He'd get up and he'd watch a little TV and smoke his non-filtered Camels. And my mother said she heard something kind of strange, but she didn't pay much attention. Well, that was him having the big one. And then she found him in the morning. And his right hand was dug into the arm of the couch. They say, that death grip. They had to pry his hand off the edge of the couch. Because he was sitting up, staring straight ahead, because your eyes don't close when you pass. People think, like on TV. No. It takes muscle movement to close an eye. When you're gone, you don't have no muscles to close an eye. Now, if your eyes are closed, but if your eyes are open, that's the way you go. And he had his arm, his hand dug into the fucking couch, staring straight ahead. And that's the way she found him. He never saw 65. That man was so bitter that basically that's all he kept saying. I dedicated my goddamn life to that company. They threw me out. It was dirty what they did. Absolutely. Good thing they gave him his fucking watch, though. Because that's all he ever wanted. And that ruined him. That fucking ruined that man. And I made it a point at his wake of telling all them bastards from management what they did to that man. And I didn't care who I offended. Vice president of goddamn White Motor Division come in. Oh, we're sorry to hear about your father. Yeah? Sit down. I'm going to give you an earful why that man died. And I did. Not that him and I had this great father-son relationship. That company literally killed that man when they did that. And I made sure every one of them assholes in management knew it before they left that funeral home. My mother kept telling me, you go sit over there. You're making a scene. I don't care. Finally, the funeral director said, if you want to tell them out, take them out, take them in the back room. Okay. I'll tell you the next one to bring to me. And the funeral director was like, easy. I said, well, you're going to be next. And I finished with one. I said, you see that asshole out there in the brown suit? Bring him back now. Everyone, every single asshole that was in management above my father, I let them know. You killed this guy. You killed him. It's on your conscience. Oh, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. They saw a side of me they never saw because I worked for that company for a while. I knew them all. And I saved his direct boss for last. The one that came in and actually threw him out. I said, Mr. Brian W., sit down. How dare you talk to me like that? Sit down. Next thing you know, you're not going to hit me, are you? I might. And you're not going to interrupt me. You're going to hear me out. And then when I'm done, you're going to get up and leave. We aren't speaking. This isn't a debate. And then, of course, we all heard about it, Everybody that was at White Motors they'd see me somewhere and they go, did you really do? Oh, yes, I did. Oh, we heard. Yeah, well, everything you heard is 100% true. I chewed each and every one of them assholes out, and I literally got in their face and said, you killed that man. Take a good look. That guy laying in that casket, you killed him. You put him there. Of course, my mother and I weren't speaking anyway, so, because she wouldn't talk to me after that anyhow. My two sisters kept, come on, you're making a scene. I don't care. And the funeral director, could you, yeah, I'll go in the back room. And I'll point out which one to send back next and don't let any of them leave. Because after I finished with them, they didn't get a chance to go back up and say goodbye. I said, see that door? Exit. Next. And like I say, the one that literally booted him out, I saved for last. I was just getting started with the others. I was like a fucking steam engine by the time I got to him. I was so fired up. How dare you talk to me like that? Sit down. Like, you're not going to... Yeah, I had to tell him twice. Sit down. And don't you open your mouth. Got it? And I think the whole funeral home and the company next door and the restaurant across the street heard me tell the last one off. Matter of fact, at the end of calling hours, nobody come near me. They were afraid to. Oh, I'll tell you what. I had never been so pissed off in my life. Because they had the nerve to come pay their last respects. I let them know why that man was in that box up front. Because I guarantee, had he gotten to do a formal retirement and would have had his watch presentation dinner, things wouldn't have been that way. But immediately, like the next day, he lived at that bar 7 days a week. Because the VFW can serve alcohol on Sunday. And that's... Anybody come over to the house, Wally around, he's up at the VFW. He was up there yesterday. He lives up there now. He just comes home to change clothes, shower. That's his new home. The bar stool in the corner, that's his home. And that was every single day. And God forbid somebody at that VFW would mention White Motors. I didn't hear of any fistfights, but I guarantee there probably were a few that got hushed up. Yeah. There were a lot of people after that funeral that stayed clear of me. Matter of fact, I heard a couple of them say, Jesus Christ, he has his father's temper, doesn't he? Yes. The one thing I inherited from him, his temper. Oh, I was the talk, oh my God, for months. Even the funeral director, he said, Jesus Christ, you were going berserk. I said, well, thanks for not calling the police. He said, well, there were a couple of times I considered it. That wouldn't have done any good. That'd have been the last thing that they would have wanted to do was call the police. There would have been a riot at that place. Oh, I would have loved to had a picture of Brian's face when I told him the second time to sit down and not say a word. Oh, he was white. I think he was afraid I was going to kick the shit out of him. The color just drained from his face. He was back in that chair. He couldn't get any farther back in that chair. He'd have fallen over. And I just unleashed on him. I would have loved to have been a little fly on the wall up in management the next day. I can imagine the talk that went on. Did you? Oh, yeah. Wally's son just... He saved me for last. And you guys all left. Well, that's what he told me to do. Get in your car and leave. And they did. One by one. Because I'd even asked the funeral director, are there any of them hanging around outside? Nope. They went right in their cars and they weren't sticking around for fear you were going to come outside. Yeah, when he asked me to move to that back room, you're creating a scene. Yeah, what about it? Well, can you go? Yes. And you stay here because I'm going to point out which one I want next. And I did. Because they were all sitting together in the back row. The one in the black pinstripe suit, save him for last. Okay. He'd come back. Who do you want next? Give me the one in the sport coat. Okay. There was one of them tried to leave. I reached out the door and I grabbed him by the collar. He said, get in here. Sit down. Don't hurt me. Sit down. But when Brian got up, you ain't talking to me like that. I got right in his face, about like this. Sit down. There were a bunch of old men. I think they were all having heart palpitations when they left that night. They knew exactly how I felt. And they knew why that man was in that box up front. Not because natural causes, because he drank himself to death, because he was so fucking bitter. Oh, they admitted him and my mother only stayed together for us kids because they couldn't stand each other. I don't know, seriously, why my mother didn't off him, because he was a bastard. What the hell was... Mary was the bartender. Yeah, Mary. She'd call when she was ready. Then he'd take her to work and stay there on 8 hours. 8 hours. Drinking all day long. Just hammering them Boilermakers one after another. Although I'm sure, like, basically after he paid for the first one, they kept giving him drinks just to calm him down. I'll tell you, I made the joke about it I said, if you look up bitter in the dictionary, my father's picture's there. That's the definition. Then you know exactly. You know exactly how it was. Because I did not let any of them speak. And by the time I got done ripping their assholes, they went out of there, their assholes looked like 55-gallon drums. Because the higher up the ladder I went, the more pissed off I was. So basically, the first bunch of guys kind of got off easy. It was the last bunch that I think Brian literally shit himself. I really think he was afraid I was going to deck him. I really, like I say, you talk about, he turned fucking white as a sheet. I was afraid he was going to have a heart attack. I'd have got arrested for fucking murder. And God, he was 65, 66 years old, maybe. I know he wasn't 70 because they had a mandatory retirement age of 70. He might have been hitting 69. He was ghost white. And just froze. Froze back in the chair, and his eyes were like two fucking saucers. Staring at me like, oh, any minute now he's going to hit me. Well, the funeral director attempted that, Kathy. Telling me I was making a scene. And I turned to him and I said, you haven't seen a scene yet. Then he was like, oh, how about the back room over here? Because in the back of the funeral home, they had they called it the family mourning room. There were some couches and some chairs, yeah. And the good thing was, the funeral parlor was kind of kitty corner. So I could see everybody. And that's how I told the funeral director which one to bring next. And that's when I told him, the guy in the pinstripe suit, save him for last. So, yeah. You don't try to shush me. That just makes me worse. But you know what, Kathy? That's the only way you can get some people to listen. Because at that point, you now have 100% of their attention. They are 100% focused on you. And I hate to say it, but sometimes you have to do that. You just literally have to get loud and obnoxious. And then you make your point. And they have heard every single word that comes out of your mouth. because now they are focused on you. And they were focused on me for fear I was going to hit them. So it was better keep your mouth shut, open your ears, and you might get out of here without a bruise. I'd have never hit anybody. Oh, I'd have gotten arrested, but I just put the fear of God in them. And the best part was when Brian, I told him to sit down, he sat down, and then I started in, and he started to get up. I was about that far from his nose. We were almost nose to nose. I told him, sit down. Of course, I can guarantee there were no condolence letters written to my mother. You know, everything coming to her was from, your asshole son should have been arrested. How dare he talk to me like that? Well, there were few things that them people had to know. And it was dirty to say, oh, here's your watch. And by the way, can you be out of here by 5? He cleared out his desk. He came home, he opened the trunk of the car, and everything went in the garbage. And my mother couldn't figure out why. I don't know how that conversation went. All I know is the only thing he didn't throw out was the watch. And as bitter as he was, anything with white motors on it went in the garbage. Anything. He had jackets and stuff. Although the watch was engraved. The back of the watch was engraved. So I think that's, and when you come down to it, that's what he dedicated his life for, was getting that retirement watch. Because I can't remember, they weren't Rolexes, but they were big buck watches. Trying to think of what some of the expensive watches are. It wasn't a Rolex, I know that. But the watch was over $1,000, I know. I can't think of what name it was. I know that hand-assembled Swiss movement. I know it wasn't a Rolex. Nobody ever got a Rolex. But whatever the watch was in value, just below a Rolex, that's what they gave out. And like I say, it was engraved on the back. I just wonder how long they let him savor in the moment of getting his watch. And then, like, why aren't we having a dinner? I could see that going through his head going, we usually get these at a dinner. And then to tell him, you're retired as of right now. And it wasn't like, well, it's Wednesday, you know, you can take Thursday and Friday to go through your office. Nope, it was like, how soon can you have your office packed up? No, it wasn't a Fossil. It's a big name watch to this day. I can't, oh my God. Hmm. God, I can't think of the name of that goddamn watch. Although I've only seen it twice. I saw it shortly after they gave it to him, and then I saw it when my mother gave it to my sister. I can't remember what the hell the name of it was. And you can still get them today. I mean, the company's still selling expensive watches. But I know, you know, back, well, it would have had to been '80, '81. So figure like 1980, that watch sold for easily over 1,000. Where Rolex would have been like $5,000. These were like $1,000, somewhere in that range. Because they weren't cheapies. That was another reason he wanted that watch. Because all he ever could afford was fucking Timex, you know. Although that's all he ever wore was a Timex. Until he got that. And he never wore it. That watch never came out of the box. And I think to this day, I don't think my sister's ever taken it. Maybe to read the engraving on the back. But he never wore that watch. Never even tried it on. Matter of fact, my mother said it just sat in the corner of the dresser. Closed. He never, he came home, he put it on the dresser and never looked at it again. The box just sat there. I can't think of the name of that fucking watch. And there used to be advertisements for it all the time. I haven't seen an ad for it, and I saw one several months back. I can't think of the name of the damn thing. I know it's Swiss made. That much I do remember. Because I think it was self-winding too. I think it was Swiss made, self-winding, which was big back in the day. Oh, look, all I have to do is move my wrist. I don't have to wind the watch. It don't take a battery. You just Now we're going to play Name the Watch. Because I know my sister, she has his flag from his casket and a couple of his medals, and she's got them on the mantle in her living room, and the watch box is right there. Even she won't open the box because she don't want it to get all dusty. Mm. Gonna drive me insane now. What's the name the watch? You know what? I got a thing on my dresser that's got fancy watch. Let me go look. Hang on. I have a little booklet thing on my dresser that's got a bunch of fancy. I don't know why the hell I have a booklet with fancy watches. I can't even afford a Timex. Damn it. I thought it was on the dresser. I'll just text my sister tomorrow. She'll know. What's the name of that watch? Name that watch. And back in the 70s and 80s, you saw magazine ads for that watch all the time. But I don't read magazines like I used to. But I know it was expensive. But like I say, when they handed it to him, I could see him going, oh, wait a minute. How come you're giving it to me now? Or you just let me see it, try it on maybe? No. Clean my desk? I wouldn't want to have been in that office. I can imagine there were probably some fireworks when it dawned on him. You know, it's like, here's your watch. By the way, don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. That's basically how rotten they were. But at least he got his watch. Because that's all we heard for years, you know. I hope I'm there long enough to get my retirement watch. I only gave them my life, and my family was second to the goddamn company. Hey, Wally, here's your retirement watch. I didn't put in for retirement. Surprise! That probably went through his mind right then and there. You know, Here's your retirement watch. I didn't file for retirement because he was planning on working till he was 65. He had just turned 64. And they knew he was going to retire at 65. And they booted him out like yesterday's trash. Yeah, I could see that. Hey, Wally here. Oh, my retirement watch. I'm not retiring. Next August. Now? Yeah, when the bell rang all of a sudden. I just turned 64. Why are they giving me this watch now? I haven't even filed for retirement. I haven't done any paperwork. We did it for you. See ya. Oh. I didn't hear any stories about him packing his office, but I can imagine there were probably a lot of swear words going on. That office probably looked like a bomb hit because I could see him in a file cabinet going, yeah, don't need this. I feel sorry for the cleaning lady that night. I didn't hear about any damage, but I could just about figure him dumping file cabinets and throwing his desk over. Yeah, it was probably like, here's your watch. See ya! Can you be out of here by 5 o'clock? There was one thing that I wanted from his office, and he didn't take it. I'm sure he left a lot of shit there. There was an engraved, it was like, I don't know if it was oak or walnut. It was a plaque, but it looked like somebody sawed a section out of a tree. It was neat. It looked like say somebody sawed a middle out of a tree, and it was engraved, and I don't know what type of finish, but the finish looked like it was like 2 inches thick. Glossy, beautiful. And it said, many people bring happiness here. Some by coming in, others by leaving. And it was over the door of his office. Somebody had engraved, because that was his slogan all the time. Many people bring happiness here. Some by coming in and others by leaving. And somebody engraved this thing. Some woodworker made it. It was gorgeous. And I know he didn't take it. I would have loved to have it. I didn't dare ask him. A sign. Okay. I won't even. I won't even say the word white. And if I do, motors won't be anywhere near it, believe me. Those were the days. And then they wonder why I am the way I am today. But you know, when you come down to it, that is typical corporate. They don't care about your feelings. They don't care about you dedicated your life to the company. At the end of the day, you're a fucking number. And when your number's up, your number's up. They go down the list. Get rid of this employee, get rid of this one, this one, this one, and this one. We're cutting back on staff. We've got to save money. And that's the way it is. They didn't care. And they knew. They knew if that goddamn factory called at 2 in the morning, he'd be there by 2:30 to handle whatever the problem is. Then he wouldn't go home. He would just stay, work his normal shift, and leave. That was why I had, basically, when I, let's see, I got my paper route. No. It was after the paper route. My first real part-time job. I had to get my own phone line. Because God forbid, you would tie up the phone and maybe White Motors might be calling with a problem. One of my friends would call, hello, my father, get off the phone. What if White Motors calls? See ya. That's the way it was. And then I got my own phone line. And he couldn't do nothing about it. Because I was paying for it. Yeah. I think it's outro time. Time for Din Din. Oops. We don't want that. We want this. Right here, 7 p.m. And with that, thanks everybody for being here. It's been another wonderful night. Have a good rest of your evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. And we will meet again right here tomorrow night.